What's up, guys? So today we're going to be mounting the driver's side clip of Tina. I've actually found out some information from seeing some other projects that have been going along on social medias and whatnot. I might be able to actually retain and use the factory dent side hood hinges with the inner fender structure mount. I did word it, and I did tell you guys that I didn't want to use the entire fender apron structure like that, and I still don't. But I might still use the back half that the hood hinge mounts to, bolt that onto the cowl, and then use like at least the section that goes from the cowl to where the hood hinge stops, basically, and cut that section out of the fender apron, and then bolt the cowl piece up here, and then let the fender apron piece come down to these holes and bolt up here. And then it would just basically sit like right over the top of the box here, the HVAC box. I think, I haven't got to try it yet, and I don't think I'm going to try it until I have both sides mounted and can do both sides at the same time as far as the hood hinges go. But I think it will really work, because realistically, I mean, you only got about a hand's width of space from the bolt holes on the fender to like the sidewall of the fender apron on the 79. I mean, you can see where the bolt holes are there. So I mean, I'm pretty sure we're close. That's just putting my hand up there too. I haven't put a tape to it or tried to massage anything out either. So I think it's gonna work. And then the next order of business is, well, the first order of business, getting this side done and looking like the other side. So I am gonna have to trim out a lot of these brackets that hold the fuse box cover or the fuse box panel and freaking brake stuff, like all these extra brackets that stick up. There's a lot more stuff to trim down on this side to get this sidewall to sit down at the level of that square tubing. So you guys already seen the entire process of how I did the other side. So I'm pretty much just gonna set the camera up and time lapse the entire process, start to finish, of doing this side, and just have it all be one clip, and we'll move on from there. It's Tuesday evening. My boy went back to his mom's early because we had to switch the schedule around a little bit. So I got some more time this week to mess around in the shop doing some stuff. So let's see where we can go. Let's get after it. All right, guys, I am beyond happy with the way this has turned out. And as you can see, I got the bumper laying up here so I can start making some mounts for it. But check out what we got. So I was able to get the door hinges worked around a little bit more and get that door pushed into the cab a little bit. And then we also got the fender mount on the top side up here pushed into the cab a little bit farther too. And we got this fender straightened out a lot more to where we're just about identical on the taper on both sides. It's just about dang near straight on both sides. which these old trucks already had sort of like a front end taper to them. Kind of the front end kind of noses in just a little bit, but I wanted to get it as close to factory as possible and get the gaps all matching. And I'm pretty sure this gap we got here is just about the same thickness, same width as the gap we got over here. Pretty dang close. So I'm happy with it. I'm gonna mount everything right where it's at. I have the grill shroud centered over the top of the front frame rails. If you move the bumper, you can see we're close to those frame rail weld seams. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes into the square tubing and run my bolts in for the grill shroud to mount that solid. And then we're gonna go ahead and start making the bumper mounts. See what we can get with that. And I also, like I said earlier, I have an idea for the hood hinges, but we'll get to that after we get the bumper. So let's see what we can make happen real quick. Let's go. All right, guys, so I'm trying to get this bumper on here, but we've already ran into the first snag. Our frame rails stick out too far to get the bumper sucked in all the way where we need to. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim off like an inch of the bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off like an inch of the frame rails, of the frame horns on each side. I might leave the top half and sort of like angle the inch down, but it really matters. What we're really trying to do is just get more room at the bottom, because we have enough room to roll it and get to where we need to set at the top, but the bottom has to scoot in. So I'm gonna get the grinder out, get that trimmed up, and we'll see where we can go from there. Probably also trim these off the sides back here from where the factory tabs came off the frame for the bumper on the Super Duty. So get the grinder jug over here and get that trimmed up, see if we can get this bumper on here. Let's go. All right, guys, I waited a little too long to get some videos of it outside because it's dark now, but the front bumper is on. Look at old girl, she finally looks complete again. Oh my gosh. I'm so freaking stoked with the way this thing is turning out and looking. So freaking killer. I did go ahead and I just set the hood on there just for the time being, just to look at it. I do think I'm gonna pull the truck back in, pull the hood back off, and we'll see what we can do with the hood hinges tonight, just cause I don't have anything else to do. So, nowhere to be, no people to see. I do have some food to eat though, so probably go eat and we'll come back and mess around with the hood hinges. But front bumper is mounted. Let's go. All right, guys, forgive me, I got my headlamp on, so the screen does a little bit of flashing, but back in the shop, went and got my food, ate, all that good stuff. I have chopped off the hinge sections of the inner fender supports on the 79. Now, I'll admit, it definitely hurt quite a bit to cut into perfectly good inner fender aprons, but I have to find out if this idea is gonna work. If this idea isn't gonna work, then I have to spend $600 on a set of hood hinges. And I don't really want to do that. So we're gonna see what we can make work with these and go from there. I'm going to start by I'm gonna start by trimming a line up through here. I'm gonna cut it out right through here and leave this bolt hole and this bolt hole with this little side plate, and then come over to the edge, and then come back out to the front, and then back up, and then practically go from this top corner down to that, right below that bolt over there at an angle. And then we're gonna set it back up there and see what it does. I'm not really worried about making this side fit. This side over here is the side that I'm worried about because of the old HVAC box. It sits right there in the freaking way. So by the time we get down here with that, and it's gonna be really close. I don't know, but we're here for it. We're gonna try to find out. Let's go. Well, guys, I think we're gonna have to accept defeat on this one. We still have to set up into the cab another 1/4 inch on the bottom and an 1/8 inch on the top. And more than 1/4 over here on this side. There's quite a bit of gap that still needs to close on that side to get it straight the way that it needs to be to fold underneath the hood. And we're still hitting the air box. Any more stuff trimmed out, there's literally going to be zero structure to it. Put the hood on it and it'll just fold that sheet metal. It's not going to work. And I'm not going to trim out the rest of the stuff to try and make it work because I know it's just going to end up not working. We're going to have to get the cow mount hood hinges from the hood hinge guy on Instagram. Dropped $600 on freaking hood hinges. I don't know. I might sit here and stare at this stuff longer tonight and see what we can do, but I doubt it. I doubt we're able to make anything work. It's a sad day. I take that back. It's not a sad day. It's a good day. Just a sad day for hood hinges. I got some staring to do. All right, guys, we're back in the shop. It's Thursday evening now. I am going to be pulling Tina out. As you've seen last night, my hood hinge idea didn't work really well. Didn't work at all, honestly. So kind of to a standstill on that. And we have this old beauty right here to pull in and do some work on. So a little bit of a backstory about this truck. My great-grandpa, Grandpa Jesse, my dad's grandpa, bought this truck whenever it was brand new and sold it to a family friend, and my family friend has had it since they bought it from him, obviously. This truck is like obviously it's a brick nose, which is around 80s to early 90s. This truck is a 300 straight 6, 5-speed, 4-wheel drive. And I've heard stories about this truck doing things that no half-ton truck should be doing. Literally, my grandpa, my dad, and my great-uncle James, they all ran the crap out of this truck. It's got a gooseneck hitch in the bed of it. They hauled this thing and put stuff on this thing that no half-ton truck should ever be tried to handle. And it is still alive and still kicking. It's so freaking cool to have a piece of family history like this that I get to work on. But it is here for a rough country lift kit. I think it's like a 2.5 to 3 inch lift kit. So I will be pulling it in, pull the front wheels and tires off. We'll do the whole lift kit and suspension and everything on it. And then we're just gonna do the front for now and see how that makes the truck sit. He doesn't like how nose heavy it is. And then go from there. We also did talk about lining those body lines up, putting some new body mount bushings in there too. It needs them on both this side, or the front floorboard here and the back there. because obviously you can see how this gap right here is skinnier at the top than it is the bottom. I'm pretty sure that floor, the front of that cab is nosedived along with the back half. So we're gonna get Tina out of the shop, get this bad boy up in there, and start messing with it this evening. Let's go. Also, forgive the racket. Max is out here welding outside, has a gas-powered generator going. Gas-powered welder generator going. He's right there. Pretty sure he's putting a new kingpin in that scrap trailer. He does some pretty gnarly stuff with all that. Anyways, I'm gonna set the camera up, get Tina out of the shop. Let's go. All right, guys, I got her up here on the lift now. We got our lift kit out here on the ground. All of our brackets are laid out. Our bolt bag's in there. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We got our coil springs here. I'm not entirely sure what those brackets right there are for. We'll get to that whenever we get there. But this bracket's a twin I-beam drop, and that bracket's a twin I-beam drop. Those over here are the blocks for the rear, but we're gonna wait to do those until we get the front completely done and set down. So, honestly, there's not much more to it than lifting her up and taking it all apart. I do have to do some radius arm bushings, which we have. So, everything's all here. We're just gonna set the camera up and pitter patter. Let's get at her. All right, guys, as you can see here, I got the front end dropped out of it. Just laying up in here now. And the stupidest thing has came up. Rough Country builds this lift kit, and you would think that they would build it to be completely bolt-on. Like, they have all the brackets have holes in them to drop the radius arm. That's the radius arm brackets. And then you got the twin I-beam brackets right here. It's all the bolts and everything. Now, oh, I had the on. One of the issues that I ran into is that these coarse thread bolts have 0 nuts in this kit to go with those bolts. So I'm gonna have to go to town and get bolts. And then on top of that, this bracket, you can see it's been professionally made, like bent with a metal brake and welded up and holes cut in it from the plasma for the bolt locations and everything. And they want you to put this bracket on the truck and then drill the factory bolt hole locations on the side of the crossmember yourself. Same thing with this bracket. This is the rear bracket for the I-beam. It goes on the back side back here by the oil pan. They want you to drill through the cross member under the oil pan, and then also drill through this too. I freaking hate drilling. Like, if there is anything worse than welding sheet metal, like welding thin sheet metal and having to sit and like tack weld it, if there's anything worse than that, it's freaking drilling holes. It's so exhausting and it's just annoying. But there's really no choice. Like, I gotta do it because the front end's dropped out from underneath it and we're not putting it back together stock. So I'm gonna have to get the drill and drill bits out and drill the holes for these brackets. Just ticks me off that they wouldn't just do it from production. But just wanted to rant about that for a second. Those are the obstacles that I've ran into with this kit. It's a rough country 2.5-inch lift kit. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys back up and start doing all this stupid bracket work. Let's go. All right, guys, so it's now probably like 2 weeks after that last clip that you just seen. I've had a lot of stuff going on, both with family issues and whatnot. I've just had a lot of stuff on my plate. So we've slacked off a little bit, but we're gonna get back on it and get back at pumping these videos out for you guys. That F-150 ended up having a busted frame. The frame was completely broken in half. And whenever I went to change out the brackets for the radius arms, the frame like fell apart. So I ended up having to put the frame back together and weld the frame and put a fish plate on it. And that was a long, drawn out ordeal. But it's gone now. Customer's got it. He's happy with it. We have Tina back here, hooked up to the gooseneck, looking all nice and sick. This thing's gonna be killer whenever like I can actually use it as a tow pig like this. I hooked it up there, washed the gooseneck off because my dad's been using it and he doesn't wash anything, so there's that. But that's it for this video, guys. We got the front clip and front bumper mounted. Finally finished that up. I still do need to get hood hinges, which is probably next on the list to buy as far as parts go. But the next time I work on this truck, I'm thinking I'm ready to pull that dash out and tackle the cowl around the windshield. And then whenever we put a dash back in it, we're gonna put a 6.4 Power Stroke dash in it, but use the 6.0 wiring harness. So give it a little bit better look on the inside with a 6.4 dash. And then I also want to eventually use a 11 to 16 full center console with captain chairs on both sides. So that's the way I'm trying to put the interior together. We're gonna get that 6.0 2006 dash out of there, and then get the cowl fixed up, get the windshield wipers working, and then put a 6.4 dash in it. But thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with a friend, all of the above. You know, come on, support the channel. Let's continue growing. Catch you guys on the next one. See ya.